1 minute you're just listening to Will, and the next thing you know, someone's writing in the comments, is that to do with the pale ass?
Is that to do with that pale? That's Pale Dong Billy. Anything said from here on out is recorded. Me and Mike live such fucking disgusting lives that we actually have to go on the record and off the record.
Oh, absolutely.
Both of us too. People are gonna think it's just you. But both of us. I have secrets. Michael Bain.
I can see that, Will. I wouldn't be surprised if you did. I could see that in the first few minutes of meeting you.
Ladies and gentlemen of Hypothetically, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm here with one of my most popular guests of all time, returning to the show.
Was I?
Mike Bain. Yeah, man. That was the only 2-hour interview episode I've ever done. Almost broke my computer, because it was such a huge, long, throbbing file.
I'm glad to. I don't hear that often, dude. So I gotta take it when I do.
The file. That was the episode I learned that if I'm gonna record 2 hours or 3 hours, I need to break it up. I need to break it up into different things so I can upload it, because my computer, my little laptop, couldn't handle all that. So it was like a whole fucking thing. I had to learn shit about computers just to put that episode up. But it ended up being one that people still talk to me about it all the time. Every week I do a show, someone's like, that fella Mike Bain, holy shit.
Really? Why am I just now finding out about this?
I sent you some texts and emails and stuff when
I
it
don't
first
think
came
you
out.
did, man.
I thought I did. I usually do, but it's definitely up there. I know it's an episode a lot of comedians respect.
I've had several comics text me in regards to it.
A lot of people who listen to the show are comics of all different levels, and bookers of all different levels, too, in all different parts of the country as well. So we do have a lot of random sort of people within the business at one level or another who listen to the show, and they're often the ones who like that sort of stuff the most, like the troubles and trials and tribulations of a comedian, the darker stuff.
Yeah, I mean, especially people middle-aged or middle Americans love the nice, happy horse shit. But in my experience, comics and bookers love hearing about the times when your face is in the fucking mud.
Yeah, it's like cops and firemen and EMTs kind of have that, gallows humor of
exactly
talking about the most bloody, disgusting shit. So I guess we talk about the worst, bombings or the worst shit that you see, shit that happens.
I mean, I have that with friends. I have that I have a friend who's a firefighter, and he had to pull a dead body out of the river right over between Southie and downtown. And I was like, well, was it a guy or a girl? And he was like, it was too rotted for me to figure out. And naturally, I made several extremely grotesque jokes on that matter, but I don't know, he was game for it, and most people in that EMTs and firefighters are.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to be.
My dad's a cop, and he has a pretty sick sense of humor. Especially, he not as much now that he's getting older. He's getting softer. He's getting more good-hearted. He literally had his heart cleaned out and operated on a couple years ago, and it seemed to have an effect on him. I don't know if he saw God or whatever, but it seems like he's a more zen, kind of happy guy.
He just realized what he was living for? Or?
Something. I mean, I felt that too when it happened. When I was it was actually the official end. I was already over this shitty thing, this shitty breakup I had been through. I was already pragmatically not thinking about it. But when that happened, it was the full death of it, the full end of caring about that stupid shit. Because it was when stuff like that happens, at least with me, I can my minor anxieties and my little worries and stuff, it all fades away because I'm just this is what matters.
Well, what I was talking, before the podcast, we were talking about how when negative shit happens, it just comes in torrents. I mean, I guess the beauty of that is you get it all over with at once, but also when you have something you're like, oh, this really sucks, and then something terrible happens right after, you're like, oh, fuck that shit, I can't even handle that right now.
Yeah, it's it's... I've had it happen to me in life several times, and it's you're already on your knees, and it feels like someone's kicking you in the gut repeatedly.
Oh, it's time for it to happen, man. And it always happens when something good happens. It's never just oh, I'm just going along and negative shit. It's oh, great, this I crossed this hurdle, I'm better than I used to be, and then something just comes along and just right in the fucking balls, and you ain't shit, man.
I know, and I'm fucked up enough that when I get the opposite, like the good streak, like the 5 or 6 good things in a row, I start thinking like, here it comes.
I do too.
Here comes the left hook.
That's what I learned. Like after going through therapy and shit, was like every high has a low.
Yeah.
And not just for drugs and alcohol. If you're emotionally feeling good, you're gonna feel like shit. But that's also the only way I get out of that depression without blowing my brains out of fucking shooting dope or drinking. Is I'm like, I will get better. It's just gonna take a week or two for me to feel better.
Yeah, with age, I've started to see that people are just like little weather systems walking around, you know? Like sometimes you're catching someone and they're raining, and sometimes you catch someone and they're a thunderstorm, and other times they're a fucking sunny day, you know what I mean? And some people are California and most of the days are sunny, and other people are fucking Antarctica. They're never sunny. It's always cold. You know what I mean? I just came up with that now. That was kind of
nice. It's very very deep.
Thanks, man.
Some woke shit, Will.
That was pretty woke for a white straight-ish man. People don't think I'm straight enough anymore.
No,
I'm catching it a lot more.
Well, you used to be an actor, so
yeah, and also
you still are, excuse me.
I'm very much not like. I feel like my record of like my life, I can make a gay joke like without any worry. I feel like
your brother's gay, right?
Yeah, my brother's gay, and like it's just a joke I've always liked to make. In fact, when I was writing recently, if anything comes up that's like related to gay, I'm just like, stop it, dude. Like, how many times are you gonna go to the gay well over and over and over again?
I remember writing all my jokes right now. I'm like, geez, I got like 6 gay jokes in a row.
Yeah, it's true, because I think it's a generational thing. Like, I was just on, the last time I was on Kumia's show, right? Like, before we even went on air, I was talking to Jim Florentine, and I was like, he's like, why are you in New York? And I was like,
because I'm gay.
I was like, I'm just, suck dicks. Oh my God. And I was like, he's like, why are you in New York? And I was like, I'm just here to do this show. Sometimes I do that. And he like kind of was like, really? And then I was like, and to see you, Jim. Like, but I was like, I said it in kind of like, our generation is behind, like, no pun intended behind them, but like, that's like a go-to for guys our age to make a gay joke. Like, oh, to see you, baby. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a joke.
Oh, absolutely.
Kind of like, oh, yeah, what were you doing? Why are you late? Oh, I was sucking 15 dicks. Like, we just had a laugh about it.
Especially when I met, like, dudes, white kids from the suburbs, because they would do it on, like, another level than I was used to.
Oh, yeah. The farther...
I worked
the
with
farther outside the city you get, the bigger that gets.
I worked with these skateboarders from Plymouth, and then I remember that we're driving around with them. We worked at the convention center here in Southie, and they would stick their head out the window and go, "We're gay," and I'm like, I think you're supposed to call the people walking by gay.
Yeah,
and they're like, no, it's funnier this way.
I kind of get that too. We used to do that sort of thing in high school too, where like my buddy would like, this was like really funny, like to us when we were like 17. Like my buddy in the mall would just like grab my hand and hold it, and it would be like a game to see who would be the first one to like be so embarrassed that they would let go.
Gay chicken.
And then but then you'd just end up being 2 like guys holding hands walking through the mall. But it was funny to us.
My friend who was a Marine in Afghanistan, they would play gay chicken, and you would go in with your lips pursed as if you were going to kiss, and then you would expect the other guy to turn away.
Yeah.
And then there were 2 dudes who just obviously were too manly to puss out and not kiss.
Yeah.
So no one chickened out, and they kissed, and then they got in trouble for it because someone told a ranking officer. See, this was before it was fully acceptable.
There are gay guys listening to this right now, though, who are going like, all these dudes want to kiss. And there are...
Straight dudes do joke about gay shit way more than any fucking gay people do.
And because it's just what people do, I think, but also, like, older generations, I notice, like, because when I make those kind of jokes on the Kumia show or, like, around older comics like that, it's always, it's never, like, me and someone, I forget who it was, I think it was Paul Landwehr, but we were, like, backstage at a comedy, like, waiting to go on in New Hampshire somewhere, and I said something like, yeah, me and Paul were late, like, we were in the back, like, fucking, like, butt fucking or something, like, making a joke, right? And, Mike Smith like didn't hear me. He was like, what'd you say? And I was like, oh, I said we were out back like butt fucking. He was like, what? Like, it was almost like, why would you even make that joke about yourself?
Because they've been, it's a generational thing. They've been taught that it's negative automatically.
Exactly. But there's still something to it, because to me it is funny to make jokes. Like, I have a joke where the punchline is like, yeah, and then I kissed a homeless guy for 15 minutes. Like, to me that's funny because I would never fucking do that. Even the idea sometimes of like a straight guy saying I kissed a guy, I think it's kind of our generation's guy in a dress. You know how like guys in dresses used to like kill in comedy? It would just like slay audiences. Like, he's a man, but he's dressed as a woman. Holy fucking shit. It was like every other sketch on SNL and all the Benny Hill things, all that stuff for like a decade.
Monty Python.
Yeah.
Never had women play women. It was always them in a dress.
Kids in the Hall, yeah. Like, it always was kind of like, well, Kids in the Hall was like the end of it. But I think that's kind of our thing sometimes. And maybe it's because it was like so heavily, we were so heavily dosed with like equality.
It's not just a generational thing, though, because I worked this job, and I was the only gringo on the job. It was me. There was one other black American dude, and then it was all dudes from Latin America and Cape Verdeans. But Cape Verdeans spoke Spanish, too.
Yeah.
So they would all just communicate with each other. Only a few could speak English. But the only real connection we had was a never-ending, day-after-day stream of fucking gay jokes. They just lived for gay jokes, man, especially if they would trick the black dude and be like, Patrick, you like the leche? And then he was like, what do you fucking he was from the South, so he could never
black dudes don't play with gay jokes.
No, they don't.
They don't do that.
No, but a lot of them do that DL stuff. Maybe that's why.
I know, but like that's the funny. Like some of my one of my closest friends, Corey Rodriguez, all straight up American black dude, like doesn't really do that. Like he might do it even a little bit more because he's from Milton. Yeah. He's got like a little bit. But I've in New York, everywhere I've lived, like I've like always kind of like it's like stepping on thin ice when you like make a joke like that around a black guy. You're like, oh yeah.
Oh, dude, absolutely. Without a doubt, but these Dominican and Puerto Rican dudes, especially Dominican dudes, thought it was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, me too.
They do it to the Brazilians, and the Brazilians would lose their shit. But it was we had two things that we always crossed the cultural and language divide with, and those were fart jokes and gay jokes. And we would just continue. The best laugh I ever got in my life was when I farted on a Dominican midget that I worked with in front of this black Dominican, and he literally cried, like physically cried, and had to sit down.
Those are some of the biggest laughs. One of the, like, I had a factory job, but it's like one of the best laughs I ever got in my life was like working in a warehouse. Like, those are some great times.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
When you have a good crew of people, because what else are you going to do? Sit there and realize that this is what I do for my life?
Yeah, and there's some sort of, it's definitely not on par with being in the Army, but there's some sort of relative connection between, like, the camaraderie of like a group of dudes. You're stuck in a shitty situation. It's obviously not on par with war, but it's something connected.
Well, that's
to that,
the whole point of communal suffering together. That's why frats do that stupid Hell Week shit.
Speaking of gay, though, like those are some of the gayest dudes out there. Like frats take it to the next level. They're like, yeah, he fell asleep. Let's put our balls in his mouth. Like
they do that. Although
that was like when I played hockey, it was like that pushed the envelope for me. Like I was like, hey, I'm good with gay. Like I love gay jokes, and I consider myself kind of like almost a comedian. Like even when I was in high school, I was like, I consider myself edgy. But you guys are like whipping. Like there was this one dude, Jeff M. I want to say his whole name so bad, but is that slanderous? I don't know.
Depends on what you're about to say.
Well, he used to run in. He used to like go somewhere, like a bathroom stall or something, get himself aroused,
get himself hot,
all the way to like the point, like all the way to the point of ejaculation, run into the showers and beat off onto someone's like leg or something while they were in the shower.
Oh, that's a beatable offense, man. That's beyond just that's not just a gay joke. That's literally sexual assault at that point.
I remember like it was one of those things where only like 2 or 3 guys thought it was funny, and like the rest of the team was like mortified.
Yeah, the guys getting cum on usually don't like
like the coach. I remember like with the coach like had one of those weird like talks with us like the next day that was like
don't come on your teammates.
Like his face was like ashen, and he was just kind of like, we need to talk about behavior. We need to talk about what's appropriate behavior for an athlete of this school. You know, it was like
this was a school team too.
Oh, it was a Catholic school team.
Oh, that makes sense.
But I remember that moment, like I remember like this kid running into the fucking bathroom, and he was a fucking goon anyway, and he runs in with this like, I'd never even seen an erect penis. You know what I mean? Like I'd seen a couple pornos or whatever, but
you were in high school. You hadn't seen your own dick hard?
No, I had, but not another strange man. And to this day, I haven't seen a lot of erect penises other than my own live. You know what I mean? I've seen a couple. I've had some group sex in my day. Some
menages.
That's the only time
I've seen them.
And that'll catch you off guard the first time. You're like, there it is. There's a... Like
well, it depends on how you size up in relation to them.
I had a threesome with one of my buddies and his girlfriend, like back in my New York days when I was drinking and stuff. And we pretty much had like, we're packing like exactly the same dick. But it was still like, I had seen my friend like drunk, naked, like running through the streets or whatever, but to see him like with like a hard on banging his girlfriend, it was a fucking weird. I remember just being like, "Good thing I'm drunk right now, because like if I wasn't, this would just be too much of a mind fuck. I'd have to leave."
I've thankfully never had group sex with people I know,
It was
other
a
than
huge
when I
mistake.
was with my girlfriend.
Huge mistake.
My ex.
We all stayed friends, but like the next day, like we didn't hang out the next day, and then like the next time we did, we were like, "Let's like never ever do that again."
The only thing I had about you DP and the girl that I dated.
They did it. The only thing I had on my side was like they like harangued me into it. Like it was like they were a kind of a swinger.
Well, I mean, if someone asks, well, you gotta.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? You gotta be a good friend.
Yeah, and I was like, I always wanted to bang this guy's girlfriend too. It felt like the weirdest kind of hall pass type way of doing it, and I was like, all right.
But they were weirded out by it too. The swingers.
It was just a little thing. Like we were all good friends, and I think like I was like we were like I worked with him, and it was just.
I've never understood running trains or doing gangbangs and shit with people you like know.
Yeah, it was too weird. But
because I know some people who do, and especially a lot of black dudes I knew from the city would be just like
with their friends.
Would commonly with their friends just run trains on girls, and I'm like, with you dudes?
My roommate in college was a black dude from Chicago, awesome dude, and he had like videos. They like had videos of themselves doing it that they all had copies of.
Why would you do that?
I'd be like, hey, like sometimes when I'm like homesick, I like look at this like album, like my friend signed it or whatever. He'd be like, yeah, like I watched this video when I get homesick, and be like him and all his friends in a hotel room, like banging chicks.
I lived in mortal fear for videos I've done getting out for years.
I know. These were like VHS 01.
Oh, then they're all set then. There's no, unless someone figures out how to make a digital copy of it, which is going to be a process.
There's so many videos of so many people.
At this point, it just doesn't. That was my relief, was once I realized that the wealth of knowledge on the internet is so vast that people are just going to come across other people's shit.
And now it's not even close to a career ender. It's just sort of embarrassing. I think if you're not cool with,
depends on how you perform. Like if there's a video out there, me like fucking A game, I don't care.
Yeah.
But if it's.
I just know you'd still get. No one needs to see my pale ass. Like that would be the thing. It would be like no matter how good my game was, people would be like, he's so pale.
So what? Does people get off to that?
Also, no one wants to see a comedian. Like they don't even want to see comedians like play dramatic roles, much less like fuck a chick.
Some
people don't even like it when Jim Carrey gets serious. I feel like I lost in one ear.
I hear.
You hear it in both ears? All right, I think it was just the headphones then. I think
you can do both. You can do because I was with a girl for a while who wanted me to do webcam and internet porn, and I didn't want to do it. But
really?
Then, yeah. And then I was like, I didn't want to do it because I didn't. It was a process, and I look back on it, and I was like, oh, what the fuck?
She give you some of the profits or anything?
No, I mean she
just
kept wanting to do it, and then I was just like, I don't really want to get involved because I had just such a negative attitude towards porn and where it led people.
Yeah.
And I was like, because eventually all your info gets out there.
It's funny that you became a comedian. You're like, porn is just it's such a tough life. Comedy, that's where I need to be.
Well, at a certain point in porn, you get to that point where it's just like with comedy, you're doing that show and you're like, what the fuck? Why did I say yes to this?
Yeah.
Whereas with porn, it's like, why did I say yes to being 18 in this bukkake scene?
Yeah, you're like getting literally butt fucked instead of
I could
figuratively butt fucked.
Instead of going to a terrible show in northern Maine, you're literally getting 3P'd. I think
instead of eating dick, you're eating dick.
Yes, literally. But I mean, I thought about it, and I was like, I look back on it, and I was like, why couldn't you do both? Because there's no reason you can't take yourself seriously while you're smashing and still be a goofball.
I honestly think nowadays there's no like that would totally work for somebody.
Absolutely,
be like, I do porn, and there's this. I was watching some like Pornhub like porno chick, Cherry Crush was her name. Or Crush Cherry, something similar to that. And I really like to read the comments on those on Pornhub videos.
Yeah.
It's usually almost always hilarious.
Oh, I do too.
Because why wouldn't you? Most of the comments you would think would just be like, she's so hot, but those don't like make it to the top like that.
Oh no, there's some good comments.
Yeah,
you would never think because you're like, who is taking time out of beating off to start typing, and someone always does it.
Yeah,
and I'm the loser who reads it.
Yeah, and they notice like something. Often it's like if you notice something like, what the fuck's up with that shower curtain? It's like everyone's talking about that in the comments. But anyway, I saw this Cherry Crush video, and there's this dude in the comments who was like, holy shit, this chick does ASMR videos.
She has pink hair.
Yeah,
I found her because I was using ASMR, and someone wrote it on YouTube, and then next thing I know, I was beaten off to it 3 minutes later.
So I was like...
And I was trying to use ASMR as like a positive thing to de-stress and get rid of anxiety, and I have issues with sex and porn. And then literally, it just linked me straight to this, and I was done.
I've thought about doing ASMR videos. Some people say I would have a... Hey...
You can have the voice, but I don't like listening to dudes do ASMR.
Well, I'm not saying for you, but maybe for someone out there. But it might lead to porn.
Yeah. 1 minute you're just listening to Will, and the next thing you know, someone's writing in the comments, is that to do with the pale ass?
Is that to do with that pale? That's Pale Dong Billy. That's you, Pale Dong Billy from Pornhub.com. I love that guy. My favorite.
You reminded me of her name because I'm gonna go look that up.
Cherry Crush. If she's oh man, hook it up. Anyone knows Cherry Crush? She's the type of chick. Like I see her videos and I'm like, there's just these faceless dudes. They're just torsos of dudes.
Yeah.
Like you just see their legs and dick. Part of me's like, how many people are gonna recognize me from legs and dick?
See, I don't know. I mean, how many uncircumcised gingers are there? In the Northeast,
in America, but you could be.
but also do with my fucking accent, and I always talk. I'm very verbal. I'm into huge.
That would be your
talk.
dead giveaway.
And
Mine too.
Every video I have is just suck that hard cock, bitch, and then so there's no way
suck it hard.
There's no way that people wouldn't know it was me, and in so many of my videos.
That's so funny, dude. Suck it hard. Christine Hurley. Do you ever work with her?
Yeah.
Super fucking funny.
When I first started, I did classes with her for Tony V.
Oh, she's so good, man. And her husband, I was actually talking to her and her husband Thursday night.
Had a threesome with them too?
I almost just said, like, I would love to, because not, like, sexually, but, like, I would do anything with those two. Like, I would go on vacation with them. I'd fucking, like, watch their dog. Like, I'd do anything. They're just, like, good people. So if they asked me, I'd probably be like, yeah, I mean, it doesn't really give me a boner, but for you two, I'd spend an hour with you guys doing anything. I'm a fan of that couple. They're like actually like I look at them as like the model.
Good people.
I'm like, wouldn't it be great to end up like them? They seem to be very, very in love and happy.
I don't know any relationships like that, especially around here.
No. He reminds me of you a little bit. I was thinking of that on Thursday. I was like, you guys kind of like you could play a younger him in a movie. I was thinking about it the other day. But she does a bit. I've seen her act a million times. I've opened for her a million times. And I usually stick around to watch her, though, because she does do new stuff or different stuff. Some people don't,
I know. One of my best experiences was listening to, I don't want to give too much away, but I was listening to Burr's podcast, and he mentioned, he's like, oh, man, he brought up some joke you remember the New England guy saying,
I know.
like 20 years ago, and then literally that weekend I was opening for that guy, and he was the same joke.
That's happened to me with podcasts several times. Like, Greg Fitzsimmons will be like, there was this guy in Boston. He used to do this joke, and I'll be like, I know I'm going to know this because the guy still does it.
Yes.
It always happens. So she does a bit about Jimmy banging her.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, oh, Jim, she goes, it's always the same dirty talk with Jimmy. Oh, Christine, you're so pretty. Do you like that? Oh, Christine, you're so pretty. Do you like that? Right? It's just like it's part of the setup or whatever. But it's like the only part of her act that like makes me uncomfortable sitting next to Jimmy, because in my mind I'm always like, do you think that's true, or is it not, or is it based in truth?
It always comes from a shred of truth.
That's always does, right? And that stuff is also like intimate. And Jimmy takes like a beating pretty well in her act. Like, she obviously, the love's there. That's why the jokes are funny, because she's like, my husband Jimmy Hurley. It's like people come up to him, are you Jimmy Hurley? Like he's mentioned so often in her act, and he's almost always there. So it's kind of like I remember at the beginning watching him during shows and being like, "Whoa, is he cool with all this?" But now I see that like he really loves it, like all the time, even that bit. So
I've had jokes where about sex and stuff where I distance. I made no mention of my now ex, my girlfriend at the time.
Since the last podcast, Mike's become single.
Yes.
So ladies out there, hit him up on Twitter. What's your Twitter?
Mike Bain Comedy.
Mike Bain Comedy. What's your Instagram? That's
Mike Bain Comedy.
Mike Bain Comedy. Ladies, slip into those DMs, man. That's how it works. You might be.
I have had a few girls do that. And
Yeah.
I've gotten laid that way.
I've hooked up with.
They were like, "Oh, you're single now?"
Dude, that's because your first appearance on Hypothetically.
Well, this was a girl that I tried to have a threesome with my ex, and she didn't like her.
Huge fan.
And then
Huge fan of the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, if I get laid off this, I definitely owe you, man.
Oh well, you know what? Just don't even worry about it. That's just I want to make dreams come true. I want the girls who are dreaming about fucking Mike Bain I want their dreams to come true. Yeah. It is a funny world though. I was telling an older comic the other day. He's like, "What's up with Tinder?" and like all this stuff, and I was like, "It's weird. If you get laid for being a comic now, it's not necessarily like it used to be where like they come up to you after the show and they're like, 'You're so funny, like what are you doing right now?' That does rarely happen, but I notice more it's like a girl will see me and then like DM me on something like 2 days later or a day later, and then I'll text with her for like a day or two, and then we'll meet up, and then, whatever. It's a date. But have you noticed anything like that?
What, that they're not face-to-face
It's
anymore?
not as much face-to-face.
No one is, man, and this is just hack at this point to say because everyone knows it and it's truth, but people, especially younger people, can't interact face-to-face. I mean, I know so many comics who've had beefs, or if you want to call them beefs, but they're little fucking fights with other comedians.
Yeah.
And they make a joke about the other comic at a mic or a show, and the person doesn't like it, and instead of just going up to them and being like, "Hey, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
What was that?" Being an adult and communicating with someone.
Yeah.
Like, they go home, and then
It's
this person
true.
who shook their hand and said goodnight writes them a 5-paragraph essay about how insulted they were, and I'm like...
So true. It's so true. It's actually like a superpower almost in stand-up to be like a regular guy who can look someone in the eye and tell them like...
Well, I feel so out of date because I don't like messaging bookers until after I meet them and shake their hand.
Yeah.
And then like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm introducing myself."
Yeah, but that served you well though. That served you well.
Yeah.
In the long run, you played it right.
Older bookers get it, but then I meet younger people and they're just like,
"Yeah, it's true."
"What are you doing?" And I'm here checking out your show and supporting it, and then I'm gonna, naturally ask you to be on it.
Yeah, with the younger people, sometimes it's like you don't even meet them ever. Like they set it up, they don't even come to the show. It's like all this, I don't know. It's weird.
I mean, it serves you with dating too, or fucking, if you can just talk to someone in person.
That's true. I mean, I get the thing lately though, where it's like I've never been exactly the guy I am on stage, but it's like I've been getting a lot of like, "Oh, you're like a lot nicer than you are on stage," and I'm like,
"You never seem that snarky."
I don't think so either. I don't know where it's coming from. I think it might
maybe
be
you
some
got
of my
like a
newer
little
bits.
like Spade thing going on where it's slightly aloof, but not cunty.
Yeah, I always kind of wanted to be a little bit like of an idiot, like a likable idiot in some ways. Not too much of one, but like the idea of like, "Oh my God, my brother's gay. Like, is that gonna make me gay?" Like, that's the kind of, I always thought that was the character.
But it also
like that's the guy I am on stage. Like, "Oh my God."
That depends too on the sort of girls you're messing around with. Because if you're dealing with white girls, especially white girls originally from the suburbs, they're gonna be far less likely for confrontational pickups. Whereas if you're messing with black or Dominican or Puerto Rican girls, I feel like it's a different story.
Yeah. I love the sisters, man. They don't love me as much as I love them. Like, and the type of black chicks that normally like to date me are like super, like, they're like white chicks, so it's like not that.
Yeah, dude, I haven't been in the.
It's not that exotic, you know. When I was in New York, I felt like I dated all different types of women, and in Boston, I feel like I just date like 2 types of women. And I don't mean race; I mean like attitude types. You know.
Well, there's not much variation here.
Not at all. There's a lot of academics.
Same kind of mentality amongst the people.
There's either like academics who are sort of pragmatically like looking for love in this weird like business like way, where it's almost like I'm screening possible lovers.
Oh, that always
you
makes
know?
you dick hard, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, when it feels like an interview when you meet someone.
Yeah, and that's like, it feels like if they have any intelligence at all, that's what you get.
What's your greatest weakness in the bedroom?
I try too hard.
Mm.
I'm not satisfied. I'm never
I can't come without
satisfied.
being choked with an extension cord.
That's the other thing. You know, I want to do a bit about this. Like, I went to acting school, you know, and a part of the acting school training was like stage combat, which was how to punch someone without hurting them, how to kick someone without hurting them, and how to choke and pull hair without hurting. And it's like, that training must have been like really good, because it's happened a bunch. Chicks are like, choke me, you know? And what I'm doing is like, you put your hand around their neck, but like all your pressure is like on your wrist, not on your hand. So like you push down hard on your wrist, so it like looks like you're really like, but like no pressure around their neck. Like your hand is just kind of loosely around their neck. And it's like, that's not what a chick wants when she wants to be choked.
Well, it depends on the girl. I had a girl that I used to choke to the point of blacking out, and then I would release right as she was about to lose consciousness.
That's what they
and
want.
She would have an amazing orgasm.
That's what they want. I'm giving them nothing. I'm giving them like a pro wrestling choke where they're like totally fine, and I can't bring myself. Kumi agrees with me. You know,
it gets scary, man.
I'm just not into it. It's not like, to me, and I get that it is a thing, and I get that, like that couple that I had the threesome with, we're like in the middle of it. They start like hitting each other and like fucking grabbing each other by the face and being like, "You piece of shit." And like, I'm like, I've never in my life. I get that and they were a loving couple, so I was like, all right. I was like, but man, that's like kind of a view into a world I don't really inhabit. But a lot of these chicks I've dated lately, they're like, yeah, choke me, like beat the shit out of me, like slap me in the face and stuff. And I'm like, I'll do my best, but
it seems more common with, in my experience, girls who are in that, let's say, a white collar corporate, or they have to put on a front, or they're super liberal feminist up front, and then behind it all, the veils come down.
Exactly. You just all the women I was just thinking about from lately, the two types of them: business, corporate, or ultra feminist, like artist, tattoo chick. But then once they're like behind closed doors, they just wanna.
Well, of course, man. It's like shame. Like if you're a super feminist girl, and a lot of them get to the point where they just hate men. Just as men can get male, you see male comics all the time who fucking hate women because they don't have success. So they can't control them the way they want to. Well, it becomes a shame thing where they're like, all right, I want a man to dominate me, even though I talk about how men shouldn't be in power on stage or whatever.
Yeah.
Same thing as some Christian dude shits on gay people and then just fucking goes on Grindr for binges at a time.
I know. That's one of the weirder ones for me, because that's a level of denial that must be tough to live with. I always thought for those types of guys who are like out there, like banging the drum against gay people, and then in their personal life that has to be a huge lie to live.
Dude, you ever had I don't want to do fucking bits.
No, but I've had. I mean, I'm saying like
shamegasms, dude. Like I've been trying to fuck. Like when you're ashamed of something and you fucking come, dude. Oh my god, it's unbelievable.
The time, like I went to 2 hookers, right?
With myself because I would lose it.
The first time I went to a hooker, it was kind of fun because it was like super exciting and like super like. That's the closest I think I know what you mean. Like I was like, the shame of this is kind of exciting. But then the second time, I was kind of like, it's gone. Like that thrill is gone. I lost you there.
I used to like the fear, too, of going into a house in a random place and having no idea who was in there. Because you're like, I might get fucking robbed. I might get jumped. I might get my dick sucked. Who knows?
There was a weird thing with me like 5 or 6 years after I quit drinking, where one day I was like sitting around and I was like, I just need to do something stupid and bad right now. Like it hit me like a fucking like ton of bricks. Like I was like, I've just been making great decisions for like 2 years. I was like, I need it. Like I just had this urge.
You just had the urge to be self-destructive.
Yeah.
It's
and I knew I was smart enough to like not go get drunk. You know what I mean? Because that's too much. I didn't want to go that far. I just wanted to like go fucking.
I don't really have those as much as I used to, and I really fucking hate it. I do sometimes.
Yeah.
But not as much, and
Getting
I'm
old.
just like, I'm just gonna be responsible. You're not gonna make a terrible decision right now, Mike.
Yeah.
I had a situation where I went to hook up with this girl in a really fucking bad neighborhood, and I had terrible cell reception, and the Uber's about to drop me off, and I look outside, and I'm like, I ain't gonna last here if I get out of here right now.
Get that
And
gut
I
feeling.
turned to the guy and I go, can you take me home? And he's like, what? And I was like, dude, if I step outside, this girl started getting weird with me when I was messaging her.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna get fucking robbed, and I'm not gonna let my dick bring me into this situation
Yeah.
the way I would have 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's true too, man. I was gonna go hook up with a chick one time, same situation. It wasn't like a hooker, but it was like a hookup, you know what I mean? And I'm driving there, and she's
this
like,
was a hookup too, but I knew I was.
Yeah.
I was like, my instinct took over.
I got scammed like that in New York not with chicks, but with a weed deal when I was like really young, like 19. But it taught me. I learned immediately. I was like, you can pick up that vibe of someone who's like trying to bait you into going to some place.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You only need to fall for that once before
and
you're
then
like,
you realize.
yeah.
You realize the first time someone says, "Give me the money, I'm gonna go in the house."
Yeah.
And then they just don't come out, and you start calling them.
And then you bang on the door, and they come out, and they go like, "Listen, I'll beat you up." And then you're like, "What?" You know what I mean? Because that's what happened to me. This guy ripped me off, and then I was like indignant about him, like a 19-year-old. You know, I was like, "Give me my fucking!" And this guy was like, "Motherfucker, I'll kill you." You know what I mean? And then I was like, "Keep the $50."
Oh, and you make good decisions, man. I almost fought some dude in Manhattan like a few weeks ago, and I didn't, and I can't believe I fucking didn't do it.
Tough city.
And I remember for 2 days I was like, I should have fucking punched him in the face. Like I should have fought him.
Yeah, but what?
And then I had that adult thing inside me came over and was like, yeah, but what if he fucked you up too? And then you had to go to a show with a black eye.
Yeah, missing tooth, and then you got dental bills.
Just that took over, and because I had a bunch of weed in my bag too, and I was like, the cops are gonna come, you're gonna get shot, all your shit taken.
Oh, you should take it. You could spend the night in jail. Not to mention, there's always that 1 in a million, like you fucking get knocked out, hit your head, and die.
But that was a brand new.
Or
I've never
or
had
vice versa.
that experience where I was like,
what happened?
I was leaving. I was actually hooking up with someone. I was leaving, and I was still stoned, and I walk around a corner, and I'm in Chelsea of all places.
Yeah.
And for those of you not listening, Chelsea is like the gayest place on planet Earth.
It's also where the Gotham Comedy Club is.
Dude, I had been at Gotham. I think.
I worked at Chelsea Piers for a long time.
Who was there? Somebody from Mass was there. It might have been Crone or Orlando Baxter. I was hanging out with him. And I went. I sold weed to someone. I hooked up with him, and then I was leaving. I should have felt great. I'm high. I just came, and then I walk on this corner. There's two dudes coming to me, and one of them is just monster. There's two black dudes. One of them is a giant dude. He's like 6'5", 300 pounds. And the other guy is this small, scraggly dude who's jumping around, just saying shit.
Yeah.
And I go to
it's
go
like
on
a
the side
cartoon.
of him.
It's like
and
Pinky and the Brain.
It is, exactly, dude. And I end up walking in between them, and this scraggly dude goes to throw a fist, and I cover my face, and I swivel.
Oh, I lost you.
I think I'm about to get jumped by the big
that.
dude from behind me. And then they keep walking, and I realize the big dude isn't with that dude. He just timed it right, or maybe didn't even know.
Yeah.
And did it right at that exact moment. And I was like, oh, this motherfucker. Because if he had done right in that moment, I would have just
What did he
started.
do again? Sorry.
He just put his hand up, like if you're going to swing, but then didn't swing.
Just to fuck with you.
Just to fuck with me. And I lost
the
my
old
shit.
drive-by
Like,
New York kind of walk by. Fuck you! Yeah.
I'm not getting punked. I'm not getting bitched by this dude. And
but you were smart enough to be like,
well, I started following him up the street. And I had been carrying a switchblade on me for a while.
What?
Dude, if I move to a
Fucking
new place,
taxi
I carry
driver.
a weapon on me until I figure out the lay of the land.
I keep a tire iron within reach in my car all the time.
I don't own a car, so I got to make do with small violent weapons.
I'm with it though.
I didn't have it on me.
I have a couple weapons hidden around this apartment in case anyone ever like broke in here.
It's important, man. You never know. I kept several clubs under my bed for the longest time. My girlfriend's like, "Why do you?" I had like chair legs and stuff with nails in it. And she's like, "Why do you have these?" And I'm like, "'Cause in case." Mm-hmm. She's like, "In case of what?" And she came from an affluent background, so she could never understand why I had these mindsets. Yeah. But I followed the dude up the street. He eventually saw me, turned around, came back, and we squared up. And I was like, he goes, "What's up, man?" I go, "You have a problem with me?" And he goes, "Oh, what you got scared?" And I was like, "You had a fucking problem." And he goes, "Oh, you came up on me, dude. You came up on." I was like, "I didn't fucking do shit to you, man." And then there was this moment where I saw like that speck of fear in his face, and I was like, "Oh, okay, he's not that tough."
Yeah.
He definitely thought I was just some affluent gay dude,
Yeah.
he could punk in Chelsea.
Or a college
And I was
kid,
like,
NYU
all right,
kid.
I should just swing on him right now. His hands are down, perfect sucker punch. And I was like, my mind did one of those a million thoughts in 1 second about, is this
Yeah.
way? Like, for the first time, my brain said, you know, you do have stuff to live for, Mike, which I had never heard my internal monologue ever say, ever in my life. My saving grace was always like, other people have things to lose. I always have nothing to live for, die for. So it doesn't. I can, do whatever I want to someone. I have
That's
nothing.
progress that you're
And-
thinking, not thinking like that.
And I had that moment, and thankfully I didn't have a blade with him because I probably would have done something terrible. But then I was like, what if he has a knife on me? A knife
or
he
takes
could stab
your
me.
knife, or you.
And he was just like, shit, man, you in my neighborhood, dude. You need to be careful and shit. And I'm like, dude, it's New York. And
Yeah, neither of us are
is-
Jewish.
This is.
This is their town.
This is we don't know. Neither of our people own this property, dude. All right, let's be serious. This is Manhattan, and he just this is verbatim what he said to me, and he just looks at me. I said, "Dude, it's New York," and he goes, "I don't care if this is Croatian, nigga." And I just started dying laughing. Oh my god, I started
funny.
dying laughing in his face,
Someone's been watching the World Cup.
and then I just walked away, and. But
That's
I
funny.
got that negative energy in me that he dumped in me, and I get a block away, and this other black dude comes up to me and goes, "Hey," and I go, "What?" And I realize, oh, he's just trying to hit on me. He wants to suck my dick. It's just it's some very. But I was like, oh man, now I feel like an assoul.
That's
I
New
get
York,
that
right?
negativity
One
in me.
same block.
Same
one guy
block,
trying to punch you, one guy
dude
trying to suck your dick.
And I had that. It took me a couple days to get that shit out of me, dude. But it was
City that never sleeps. It is. I was just there a couple weeks ago, man, and I was like. I ended up having, I hung out with a friend of mine after I did the Kumia show just for, an hour before I got my car and left. But it was I lived there for so long. That's how that city is, man. It's like, you just don't know. I remember, I like a walk. I like a good 20-minute walk, 15-minute walk, clear my head, sometimes in the middle of the fucking night. And used to always... New York is not one of those cities where you can just do that if you don't live in a decent neighborhood. You walk out the door 2 steps and you could really be in something. You can be in an adventure. You could be in someone else's adventure. You could have someone coming up to you with a huge anything can happen at any time. It's a very intense
I was just
town.
amazed it happened to me in Chelsea because I live on the border of Bed-Stuy, Brownsville, and East New York, and I'm not in a great area. And I've had no problems
Chelsea
there.
gets fucking... I've had some problems there myself, and I've worked all the way on the water at the piers and walking walking through as if you took the wrong street sometimes coming back it would fuck you up.
What drove me nuts, dude, is I had empathy for the dude too. When as soon as he said, "This is my neighborhood," it reminded me of how I'm not as angry as I used to be. Part of that's because I don't live in Southie anymore.
Yeah.
But growing up here, watching as my neighbor, my home, my community, and Southie wasn't my neighborhood. It's my country. This is where every single one of my relatives comes from. I don't have anyone in my family who comes from even outside the neighborhood, outside the city. So this is my people, my country, my everything.
Yeah.
And so once it started getting gentrified, I watched as my community was dispersed, and I was gentrified out of my home, and the rage and the bloodthirst and the anger I had towards yuppies coming in was unfathomable. And when that guy said, "Yo, it's my neighborhood," I saw the same fucking thing. This is just some dude who's got nothing going for himself. He's drunk just like I used to be, and he's mad that some fucking rich dude's moving in and he can't fucking live in his own place anymore.
Yeah.
And I had that, and I was like, fuck, man. Fuck. Now I'm empathizing with this dude, and I want to fucking kill him.
Yeah, but that's good. You know how many people don't make that leap, even in their whole fucking life, and even the wisdom of old age? The fact that you could see how the fact that you put yourself in another dude's shoes, even for a couple seconds, is more than a lot of people ever do.
I've done similar shit where I'm not proud of this. But I'm not proud of a lot of things I did in my life. But when I used to start doing stand up at the old Vault, and I would get people to come to my mic, I would go around Beacon Hill, man, just or sometimes I leave work. A lot of times I get shit faced and go in that old. The old graveyard there, and I just drink on John Hancock's grave. Or
Wow.
sit on top of the Ben Franklin family grave and drink Jägermeister.
You're like a Dennis Lehane novel. You do stuff
I
like
would
that.
wander around Beacon Hill, and sometimes I just follow people down streets.
By the way, I was just as weird in New York. I used to get I used to get bottles of whiskey and sit on the stoop of James Dean's old apartment and drink whiskey.
You're such a fucking hipster, dude. Oh my god. Oh,
I was
God.
19, 20 years old. I loved
Yeah,
James
you were an
Dean.
actor too, man.
Yeah.
That's so par for the course for actors.
I did it so often that if people couldn't find me, that's where they would go look for me. If, like, someone needed me for a scene, someone would be like, go check James Dean's house. Noonan's probably drunk, sitting on the stoop.
Yo, where's Willie? He owes me money.
I don't think I've
he's
ever-
hanging out at Dean's place.
I don't think I've ever told that story before, or I just remember it now. It's 68th and Central Park West. I used to fucking hang out there all the time.
So you just looked up James Dean's old address and were like, I'm gonna make it my business to hang out here?
It was 2 blocks. My dorm was only like 2 blocks and an avenue away from there. So I felt like already, I'm like, that's a sign. I'm going to school in the same, I'm living in the same neighborhood that he lived in when he was going to acting school. So it was like me and James Dean were like on the same, I felt like he was like my spirit animal when I was, it was funny though, by the time I was doing that, I was already kind of growing out of that because it was like in high school that I really thought that. I was like, James Dean's so cool. What it really was is I found out about method acting and like that kind of like Brando, Stanislavski kind of like using your emotions and all this shit. But when I think about it now, even more, it's probably like stand-up. I was just like, oh, you can do acting, but like make it about yourself too. I was like, that's so cool.
I mean, can you do that anyway? I mean, when I want to act more.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. I love to do it, especially not just comedically. But obviously, I'm immediately typecast. And people is like,
Yeah.
can you do it without the accent? And I'm like, how many British motherfuckers do you know can
Yeah.
speak with an American accent? You think I can't just fucking learn to pronounce the letter R for a few
I
minutes
know.
for you?
Well, a lot of people can't, man. A lot of people can't.
But it was I'd have that, and it with method acting, you just oh, you have to cry. Well, just think about something horrible that happened to you.
That might be easy for you, but for a lot of people, that takes like a lot of training to like get to that point where they could just think about something bad that happened to them and cry.
I feel like this is a cunty fucking thing to say, but I think that's why comedians can be good at acting because they really figure it out themselves. So then it's easy to figure out pretending to be someone else.
It's true.
Because most people's lives is just pretending to be someone they're not.
It's way, way easier for a comedian to just jump into acting
Then vice
or
versa.
play a serious role even. It's easier for a comedian to get serious than it is for a serious actor to just go up and do comedy or do even a comedic role. It's like there's timing involved, but I think you're right. Like comics know themselves. But I mean, I don't, I was like a 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-old when I was studying all that stuff. And I think sometimes like it's had a deep effect on me, like to the point in good and bad ways. Like in some ways, I probably started getting a little bit more like anxious and having more mental stuff because I was digging around in my head so much, fucking with what's in there so much and so often.
Opening Pandora's box of pain.
Tons of times, like all the time, So I'm
gotta
still
do it,
very
huh?
easy to like, if someone's telling me like a really sad story, I'll feel my eyes start to like well up with tears, and I'm like, I trained myself to do this for like 4 years, so it's not going to just go away. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like a tough, sometimes you don't want that. You don't want your emotions like just below the surface,
You're like an SS officer that's trying to hide out in South America, and suddenly you hear Nazi stuff, and you're just like,
Yeah,
don't do it, don't salute.
My
Don't
hands.
salute.
It's so true, man. The stuff is like, and it's me especially. I was as obsessed with it as I am with comedy now and all that stuff. So I would just like go crazy with it, but it's all worth it. Like in the end, all that stuff.
That's all just having empathy, man.
Yeah, and I think I was naturally probably like that. That's why I was drawn to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was like, maybe it's like, instead of just telling my Irish Catholic family like I wanted to talk about my emotions, I had to like be like, I'm a method actor. You know what I mean? Like I had to have emotions. I had to kind of give my emotions a job, which was acting.
I just had this conversation with someone I was hooking up with who was telling me about how comedians are people in entertainment can be natural empaths, and then really started trying to psychoanalyze me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just can't.
I get that a lot.
It's 4 a.m. and you're smoking meth. Stop trying to fucking get in my head.
I get that a lot. One chick.
People you hook up with, dude, it drives me nuts. I'm like, I don't know.
I've gone out with
Let's work up
chicks
this.
who listen to a lot of comedy podcasts, and it's like being on a podcast on the date. Like they're asking you like interview questions that like you get on interviews. I've also been on. I I get a lot. Like, I mean, all comedians are fucked up. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows all comedians
Not
are fucked
all
up.
of us,
mess.
man.
I know.
There are people out there who just regular folk, just up
all
there telling
kinds.
jokes.
It's just like any job. There's
Because I hate that mentality, because I think that's fundamental for why the comedy scene is overcrowded. Is because there's so many kids who are like, well, I'm fucked up and I'm depressed, and comics are all depressed, so I must be a comic.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, dude, you're just a loser with some problems, man.
It's a big problem right now. Like, there's a million people like that, or like.
Dude, I go to Mike's in New York and I just want to kill myself. I just sit down. I'm like, I did this thing in Brooklyn with all these hipsters, and I suck, and the world sucks, and oh yeah, and I'm just like, you're all fucking rich hipsters living in Williamsburg. Shut up,
living in the biggest, awesomest city. It's always
like
it's the opening line of a lot of comics right now is like, I have this problem. Like it's their opener.
Mental illness, depression, anxiety, or whatever.
It's hack. Like, because every time I go to an open mic or a showcase show here in Boston, which I do a lot now, like I'm trying to work shit out. They're fun shows to do. The open mic especially is super fun. The Hideout open mic, I love going to.
I love the Hideout.
But it's like every third fucking comic is like, so I have OCD, so I'm bipolar, here's whatever else, like, I fucking paid a guy to prescribe me with, it's just.
The worst is when it's someone that's just gorgeous, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, fuck you. I'm not saying you can't have problems, but you're too pretty and handsome to have that kind of problem.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also like, stuff like that should be what you get to like 4 or 5 years into comedy. You're finally getting good at it. You're like, all right, I can start talking about like.
I had written those jokes. I was just scared shitless to touch them for such a long time.
I remember seeing a comic who got divorced right before he started doing stand-up. So all his new comic, open mic, brand new guy stuff was about divorce. And it was like, wow, this is definitely a topic for a seasoned comedian.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't just go up there as an open micer and be like, so I just got to. How is it not going to come off as like, she's a cunt? Like, everything was just anger and stuff like that. I got to take a piss. We got 10 minutes left, but
all right.
I'm just going to go. Should I pause it, or do you want to do a little Mike Bain hypothetically by yourself?
I just pause it, man. I'm not that narcissistic that I want to hear my own voice for however long it takes you to get
Well,
out.
I am. I do it for a whole hour. We'll be right back. Like, I've learned that if I hold a piss for more than, I don't know, 2 to 5 minutes, it affects my brain. I can't focus, can't talk.
Yeah, I don't want to risk a UTI.
Can't be good. I think I had one, actually.
I had one, and I ignored it because I was like, guys, don't get UTIs.
That's what I did, too.
And then I was hosting a mic for John Parada down in Providence, and I was on stage, and I started having a severe pain in my side, which was my kidneys, because the infection had gone up into them. And I was like, whatever happens, Mike, we're finishing. You're here for 25 minutes. You're doing your fucking time.
Whoa.
And I got off on stage. Nearly knocked over Jonathan Tilson because he was taking over the second half of the show, and then got in my car, drove back home. Eventually, my girlfriend's like, "You have to go to the hospital." I was like, "Cause I'm not going to the hospital." And I went to the fucking hospital, dude, and they took a piss test, and they're like, "Well, it's not a UTI, so you definitely probably have an STD." And they said this in front of my girlfriend, who was sitting next to me, and it was a woman doctor and a woman nurse, and I could just feel them like, "You fucking dirty piece of shit." I could just feel it.
You probably didn't even get it from her. You probably got it from some.
No, definitely. You're this piece of fucking trash, this scumbag dude. This
so
nice,
you two need to have a
this
conversation.
Nice girl with this white trash loser, and then. And then finally, so I can hear them outside talking shit about me. I'm in there with my girl. I can hear them. He definitely got it. He's going to give it to, what a piece of shit. She's probably chlamydia or whatever. And then they come back in. They're like, actually, you do have a UTI.
Wow.
Our tests were wrong. And I was like, I should really just punch this woman right in the face right now. Like, I think I'm gonna risk whatever societal and legal ramifications I get as a result. But
So then, what, they give you some antibiotics?
Yeah, they give me some antibiotics, and eventually.
I didn't know it could get that bad. What's your kidney?
Yeah, it'll go up inside you.
Yeah, I don't know if I had it then, but I had one as a kid for sure. I had to drink some cranberry juice.
I think I was fucking someone in their butt, and that's what happened. Probably my girlfriend, actually.
That'll do it.
That's exactly what it is. I think just putting the poop on.
You
Maybe
get some
you got a
poop
little-
on your pee
little
hole.
smack of fecal matter went up the wrong place.
Fucking fecal matter. It'll take you out. It's what caused my appendicitis, my own fecal matter when I was a
Really?
kid. Yeah, like a little piece of it. Somehow, a piece of shit escaped the part of my body it's supposed to be in and like attached to my appendix. I swear to God. And it stayed there for like years and became rock hard. Isn't that hilarious? And then when I was 12, I
You
just like
had a piece of turd just squatting in your
Yeah.
innards.
they said it was like rock, like a fucking calcified rock when they took it out because it has just been in there stuck to my appendix, like become like sucking life
Fused
off
with
of my
you.
appendix or something
Yeah.
and killing it. And I got super sick when I was 12 on St. Patrick's Day.
And then you got a shit abortion.
Like,
And
yeah,
You got
I
that
had-
sucked out.
I got like a fucking massive surgery. It was like a huge, knock on wood, the like worst thing that's ever happened as far as that sort of shit. But I was sick as fuck. I was
Yeah.
like the sickest I've ever been. My dad drove me in the police car, the siren on.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah, it's pretty baller. But it was like the shocks on like the Crown Vic were shitty. And it was like I was in such pain, like a stiff breeze would kill me.
I had that happen with pancreatitis. I
Oh.
thought I was gonna die, man.
Yeah.
I thought I was definitely gonna fucking die when my mother was driving me in the morning, hitting every pothole
Yeah.
on the way to BMC.
I remember my dad felt bad. He was like, I'm sorry, you couldn't help it. And then, like, the test, it's a teaching hospital, New England Medical Center. It's like, I'm like this 12-year-old kid with, like, fucking appendicitis, but they're not sure, so they got to, like, come in. It was just doctor after doctor coming in, sticking their finger up my ass.
Oh, I've had that. I had that. Well, I had the time when I fractured my eye socket. Well, I got blackout drunk. I woke up in a hospital, and my left eye socket was fractured. I couldn't see out of my eye.
Damn.
And I'm just looking. There's my mom, my dad, this Indian doctor, and 8 of his pupils just all
Yeah.
staring at me, and then just trying to figure out, just using me as an example
Yeah.
of just dumb shit, and then like, oh, look at his fucked up face, and I couldn't see my face yet, so I'm just waiting, and then I look over and I'm like, Ma, why can't I see out of my left eye? And she's like, you should probably, when you can stand up, look in the mirror. And it was just fused shut. It was just a bloody mess.
That was from getting beat up?
No, I believe I just fell down drunk and fractured my eye socket. I almost froze to death.
Yeah, you told me that story.
And then another time when I broke my dick, I remember going to the hospital, and
Wait, how'd you break it?
I was having sex with my girlfriend, and she moved, and I just hit her
Do you have insurance for all this stuff, or do you just go and...
some of the times I've had insurance, and some of the times I've just completely dodged the bills.
Oh, nice.
The pre-Obamacare bills I just dodged.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
post ones I was on my parents' insurance.
Yeah.
But I broke that, and then I had to go into the hospital, and I'm sitting in line at the emergency room by myself, and I wrote on the piece of paper penile injury, and the woman's like, "What is this?" And I said, "Oh, I got a broken dick." She goes, "What?" I got a broken dick. What? I go, "I broke my dick." At that point, the two Puerto Rican women behind me was speaking Spanish, stopped speaking Spanish, and just got quiet. And then I go back there, and I have like a woman nurse at first, and she pulls it down, starts poking it where it's all bruised and stuff, and goes,
Was it fucking, like, swollen?
"Yeah, it wasn't looking great."
What's a
but,
broken dick look like?
Well, some people have, mine wasn't a full break, it was more of a sprain, but there's 3 chambers in your penis that fill up with blood. I had
Yeah.
busted one of them. And when it happened, it sounded like someone stepping on a pile of dry leaves.
Yeah.
Just a crunch.
Jesus.
And my girlfriend was like, "Should we stop?" And I was like, "I'm going to come." Like, I'm not, if this is the last time I come, I'm fucking coming. We're doing this.
Bane.
And
That's
we
you.
did. And then I couldn't get hard for like a week.
That'd be great if the doctor was like, hold on. Did you come?
Yeah, but the nurse started. Oh, absolutely. In torrents.
Okay, thank God.
Ugh.
If you hadn't, this would be much
And
worse.
she just held it and started poking it and goes, "Does this hurt? This hurt?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "I'll get you a guy, and, so you feel more comfortable. I'll get the doctor." And then this dude comes in
He's like, hello, Michael.
and he holds it and he starts poking it around and he goes, "Oh, that doesn't look good. Does this hurt? Does this hurt? Does this hurt?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "I'll get the doctor." And I'm like, "Who the fuck are you?"
Well, I got to go back to my shift at Panera. Nice to
Yeah,
meet you, Mike.
I got back to mopping the floors, man. The other janitors
Wow.
want to check it out too. And then finally the doctor came in, and Then I had to go to my primary care physician, and he's like, I've never heard of this happening. But all in all, I must have had 4 or 5 people poking.
That's weird, primary care physician, because I've heard of it happening, and I'm not a doctor.
Yeah, I shouldn't know more about this than you.
I hate it when like I've started to believe that my like regular doctor's kind of an idiot.
So many doctors have no idea what they're doing. They're just people we were brainwashed to trust, like cops and politicians. They know what's best for you, do they?
It's true. My dad sees the same guy as me, and but he's older, so he sees like other doctors for other things.
How do they feel about
his
that?
His other doctors are like, I don't know about that. Like his other doctors for like his heart and his like, you know, he's got some like blood, like all different guys for different things. They're like, I don't know about your regular guy. They're kind of giving him like.
They're like other girls that he hangs out with. They're like, you know, your girlfriend doesn't really appreciate you.
Yeah, they're like, he's not giving me the best feedback. Like they're like trying to say it in nice ways.
I've said I used to build pharmaceutical shows when I would do when I wasn't doing concerts at theater builds. I'd do corporate stuff.
Yeah,
I did corporate stuff at the convention center for a while, and during the session, it was all biomedical and pharmaceutical. Those guys never got touched by the recession, not once.
No.
And I would build booths, man, for OxyContin. And like these doctors would just come in and there'd be a salesman in a suit there. You really need some OxyContin, and then sometimes they would be like on the.
It's so funny.
The you know, cosmetic surgery shows. There'd be a girl there with monster fake tits, letting doctors feel them.
Yeah.
And then they'd all have a giant party at the end.
I've worked some of those.
And I was like,
me and Paul D'Angelo.
These dudes have no idea what they're doing. It's just a hangout for them.
Yeah, and for them it's like a free. It's. The trip is paid for, the drinks are paid for, but I think there's a, you know, and everyone knows it. It's like you don't just get, nothing is free in this country. So like, what do they do? They're pushing drugs on people.
Yeah.
You know, they're playing ball. I think the worst thing that like happened to my guy was like he was like part of some small network of doctors, and then he got in with like the Tufts doctor, like he got into like the Tufts. Whatever, like he part of that big HMO or whatever, and it just is like, now you're like a fucking cattle when you like you're a piece of cattle when you go see him now.
Yeah, why would you think it's any different than the poor bastard working in a cubicle?
Yeah,
shit rolls downhill.
Yeah, it sucks, man. And I'm like truly jealous of other countries when it comes to shit like that. Like,
oh, absolutely.
When it comes to just, it's maybe one of my biggest fears. Like, I'm happy with my job, and I don't. It's the only reason sometimes why I wish I made more money. Because I'm like, I don't need a lot of money. Like, I'm a single guy, but I need health insurance, and it's like, you need that in this fucking country. In most countries in the world, like, you don't.
I've had so many scares where I guess I'm not going to the doctors.
Yeah.
And my ex would just flip out on me, and I'm like, I'm not. And then I realized, shouldn't I invest in myself? Like, if I can afford to buy other things.
Well, we're just now getting to the age where we really need it. Like, you know, like when you're in your fucking, I wouldn't, if you're like if you're listening to this and you're in your 20s, like, don't fucking worry about it.
I don't know. That's when I got hurt the most. That's when I really needed it.
Yeah, you need it for injuries, but you're not going to, like, you're probably not going to catch, like, you know, cancer or heart problems or anything like that. Even us, hopefully not.
Yeah, ideally, we still got 20 more years. Well, Jesus Christ.
I know. See, this is my I'm like already. I feel like I'm 35. I feel like I'm already like it's over.
It's not that bad, man. Don't start that bullshit.
I know. I was on Jared fucking Fried's podcast live in front of a crowd, and I said I was like too comfortable. I was like, well, at my age, like I feel like, and he was like, it was like I heard the audience and him go like. What? Dude, like at your age?
That's such a mentality that people have where they're just like, oh, it's all done now. I was talking to my friends, and I'm like, dude, we're fucking 30. It's over. So what do you do from now, man? You just work that union job and you just drink every day. And you're just like, oh, I guess it's over.
It's kind of
just wait till you're 70 to die. No,
it's kind of an American way, right? It's kind of the American thing. Is like so much emphasis is put on youth. And
it is. It's you know what? It's the opposite of societies like, let's say, Japan and a lot of East Asian societies where the respect is given to the elderly. But you know what it is, man? It's the fault of that fucking greatest generation. They get so much credit, but they also don't get the blame they deserve for fucking us up by doting on the baby boomers so much.
True.
Baby boomers were the first spoiled generation. It's because they came back from war after the Great Depression. They're like, we're going to give our kids everything. We're going to center our society around them. And then those baby boomers are the motherfuckers who complain about millennials.
It's true, man. and really never passed it on. Like that's the real thing I think the boomers kind of have to like own up to is like all like there used to be a guy retired at 50, 60, you know, the guy who was 35, 40 takes his job and then so on and so forth. The guys who were 50 just stayed until they were 75.
Yeah.
You know? And then a whole generation of people were just like, so I don't buy a house?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't get to
I mean,
have...
as much as I hate social media, I think social media is our generation's saving grace. Because what I hate about the boomers is they've gotten to an age where they become holier than thou, and they don't want to remember that they were young and they used to... Like, I talked to my aunts and uncles and my parents. I'm like, you guys grew up in Boston in the 70s.
Yeah.
You were literally pumping anything in your veins you could stick in a goddamn needle.
Yeah.
Stop acting all fucking high and mighty.
Yeah, about these kids doing pills.
All the fucking they did, and then they act like it never happened. And the beauty is they can because there's no Instagram or Twitter or Facebook to pull back to, whereas we have that. At some point, someone's going to be like, you know, whatever the conservative is 30 years from now, and that kid's going to be like, shut up, Mom. I saw your pictures from Panama City Beach from 2008.
I'm pulling it up right now in my mind. You know what I mean? That's what they'll say.
When I was a kid, my dad was a diehard Democrat. Now he's a diehard Republican. And I'm like, you know, you voted for Bill Clinton. He's like, shut the fuck up.
Oh, that happens. That happens.
That never happened.
A lot
and I'm
of
like,
men.
yeah, it did.
A lot of men. My dad's still a Democrat, but I've seen it with a lot of dudes. They get older and they start to like, just you know, it's like you start thinking about money more or whatever. I
think it's just society changes and you're not willing to change with it too.
That's true too.
It's that old.
Do you ever wonder like already? Because I already start to.
No,
wonder
I used
sometimes.
to be like super right-wing conservative when I was younger.
Oh, okay.
And then I realized, and then I graduated during the recession. And I realized, so I was like that during Bush, and then Obama became president. And I remember people saying, "Oh, Bush isn't my president." I'm like, these fucking liberal cunts. And then I saw conservatives doing it to Obama. That's not my president. I'm like, what are you guys doing? I thought this thing that we were shitting on them for, now we're doing.
Oh, yeah.
And then I came to the realization they're both the same. They play the same fucking game. It's all hypocrisy.
Yep.
And I also had that moment where I was like, oh, I've been sold a bill of sales about believing in a system that doesn't actually exist. Nah. Where as long as I work hard and I do the right thing and I'm a good patriotic American, I'm going to be taken care of. And it never happened for me. No. And then I woke up and I was like, oh, man, it's just
it's like a show, you know?
It's just a way to divide people easily.
Yeah, I was DJing a Republican party the night of the election Obama won. So I witnessed, you know, a very disappointed group of people.
Mitt Romney was his thing was supposed to be at the convention center.
Yeah.
And I worked there, and I was trying to get fired from my job, so I showed up 15 minutes late, and my boss flipped out. And then I go in the back room, and they were so fucking angry because they didn't like the idea that they had to deal with union labor, period.
Oh, wow.
And so they were giving us so much shit. And then I go in the back room, and there's just a giant Mitt Romney poster that had just been stuck in the trash, just waiting to be thrown out.
Yeah, man. That gave me some perspective because, like, these people were so, like, the world is over. And I remember thinking, like, you fucking idiots. But people did the same thing when Trump got elected on the other side. And I remember being like, well, this is just, like, it's just the cycle.
It's how it always is. And every time people think this is the worst one ever because it's the one that I'm living through right now.
Yeah, it's true.
As if it didn't
There's never been
before.
a more self-centered fucking human, though, than the one that exists right now in America, I don't think.
I mean, dude, I'm not phased, though. I mean, shit happens, and I'm not saying it doesn't suck, and I don't wish it was better.
Yeah.
But, like, when really bad shit happens, people flip. I see people losing their mind. I'm like, how is this your wake-up moment? Where have you been for all the terrible shit?
Yeah.
Like, they're putting kids in cages, man. I'm like, we killed, like, over 1 million people in Iraq. Well,
do you know what the CIA is doing right now? Do you know what? Like,
we've been doing that horrible shit forever.
We've been kicking down Afghani doors and fucking throwing dirt in kids' faces in Afghanistan for a long time. You know?
How is I'm glad that people wake up and be proactive, but it's just
people now are fucking keyboard warriors, man. Like people are two different. There's two different people, man. There's like the guy you are when you go to the store and buy coffee. You go over to Cumberland Farms and hang out for 20 minutes. It seems like America's a pretty great fucking place. Like black people, white people, Spanish people laughing, talking, hanging out. Like it's not a fucking horrible scene over there. Everyone gets along. It's a good time. You go online, it looks like we're just a second away from a race war, like at any moment.
And it's not, though those lines aren't even really there in real life like you think. Because I live with 4 Hispanic people. Dude from Puerto Rico, this Dominican girl from Jersey, Dominican girl from the Bronx, and this guy from Colombia who emigrated to Germany who's emigrating here now. And 3 of them, one of them's...
What, are you living in El Camino?
Yeah. Exactly. But the one of the girls is in theater, so she's naturally very left wing, and the other 3 are super conservatives.
Oh, wow, interesting.
At least
Trump
I know
guys?
one of them is Trump voters.
Interesting.
Trump people.
Hispanic
Yeah,
Trump
and
voters.
I'm like this idea that everyone is along a certain way because I know this girl who's in a heavy metal band, and she was doing a show in Brooklyn, and this El Salvadorian kid showed up wearing their shirt, and on the back it said "fuck Antifa," and a white bouncer punched him out, beat him up, and dragged him outside.
I mean, come on.
And then
All
called
this
him a
stuff.
Nazi, and I'm like, he's fucking brown, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
And also, like, you just punched him and took him out of someplace. So who's the Nazi? You know what I mean? Everyone's being a fucking asshole in this situation.
I think the lines of where you exist are really changing now. Like kind of like how the Dems and Repubs changed in
it's
the
tribalistic,
60s.
right?
It's all it is. Which look, man, I love everyone. I hate everybody. Like everyone has their flaws and their good things. But my biggest gripe and the reason I get so pissy with leftist people is because Republicans will just be like, I'm a piece of shit. I'm a tribal. I'm whatever. This is my group. And then liberals act like they're above it, but they still do it.
Oh, yeah.
And I hate that, man. I hate it when someone just can't.
Massachusetts is
You're
like
still
the capital of that.
like I've heard people like those people are parochial tribalists, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you're not.
Oh, yeah. Go to a country club in Massachusetts. You'll find hundreds of people who voted for Hillary Clinton who are some of the most, financially conservative, racially conservative, just they're Republicans.
It's a sign of status, man, because the same way Christians are like, as long as I follow these 10 commandments, I'm a good person.
Yeah.
I meet so many liberals that are like, as long as I follow these tenets of liberalism, I'm a good person.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I think they view their politics as a sign of their class status.
Yeah.
Those people think that way because they're poor and dirty. I think this way because I'm affluent or whatever.
I always feel a very similar thing to sports. It's like some people are like, I'm a baseball guy, I'm a basketball guy, or even more so, I'm a Red Sox guy or I'm a Yankees guy. It's almost that
shit.
stupid with politics,
Oh, it is because I know so many dudes that were like, fuck Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
Derek Jeter's a fucking bitch, man. He's a fucking homo.
Yeah.
Fuck him. I was like, if Jeter was sitting there in a Red Sox jersey, you'd be letting him bang your sister.
Yeah. LeBron James, people were saying, I don't want him to be a Boston Celtic. I'm like,
until he is,
give
and
him,
they start riding his dick.
Yeah, give him 3 fucking games. He scores 30 points each game. You're like, you know what? He fucking belongs in the green, that guy. I like his defense. You want to wrap it up, Bain?
Yeah, sure, man.
I got to take it. What are you doing this afternoon anyway? You got some family shit?
I'm at the Comedy Den, downtown Boston tonight, and which won't matter because this will come out later. But
Yeah. What else do you got? You got anything you want to plug?
yeah, just
Get a weekly show in New York yet?
No.
You're like, yeah, I'm at the bodega on 4th.
Man, just
2:30 in the afternoon. It's called Bain's Things.
Plugging away in the machine that is New York, man.
Yeah.
I just post stuff as it comes along, so just follow me on Twitter and.
Just headline Nick's Comedy Stop.
Yeah, it was fun. It was great.
That was awesome, dude.
It's just in that process of figuring out New York comedically, going through life changes, different things, man. I'm trying to bang white women again. I'm figuring things out, It's been a long time.
Good luck with that.
It's been about 8 years since I've seen one of those.
A white vagina?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, dude, I dated my Arab girlfriend for like 7 years.
I
Before
always
that, I
forget
was
she
only
was
fucking with
Arabic.
Hispanic girls. So I haven't. It's a brave new pussy for me.
Well, the vagina part's great. It's the mouth that gets old after a while.
You talking about oral or just the talking?
Just the talking. On that note, this has been Hypothetically. This is Mike Bain. For a second time, always one of the best guests ever. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Will.
And remember, if no one told you they love you today, I do. Peace out.